There is a fog in my head. Welcome to Biblical Conceptual Yiik Arabic, or Tmeanaah for short. I'm honestly not sure if this can be classified as language. The sentence order is SVO, with adjectives following nouns and possessors following possessees. In terms of phonology, there is really no phonology. The vowels are semantic fields of concepts being conveyed, while the consonants are sentence or phrase types that change based on the grammatical meaning of the word. While the grammar and everything else does specify a lot of things, there is still a lot of variation in terms of how this can interact. So the bare minimum is the quote-unquote words must form a cohesive dialogue between two people, and the actual words, of which the semantic fields are being used, not be used within the sentence. This generally happens in turns, but grammatical particles and, in some other exceptions, multiple sentences may be read by the same person. The actual words may include words from outside the semantic field if it helps to bring the sentence together into a cohesive dialogue. Nouns are signified by a declarative sentence, transcribed like this. The only other information nouns can convey is plurality, where the sentence is exclamatory instead, ending with an exclamation mark, as well as definiteness. If your native language has definite articles, the distribution of them is directly carried over to Tmeanaah. If it doesn't, you must use the English distribution of the articles, and it is marked by making the sentence negative. The adjectives function similarly to nouns, but an adjective sentence must begin with a conjunction. For the comparative form of an adjective, the sentence becomes an imperative one, and the more imperative the sentence is, the more comparative the adjective is. The superlative form is mapped onto an indirect question. The amount of syllables in the word used for the semantic field in the language of the dialogue is reflected in the sentences as topics connected with a conjunction or comma, up to a total of 4 topics. Any conjunctions within the actual dialogue are implied. Any exclamations or foreign words that have to be used are converted to numbers using the Agrippa system. The numbers are converted into notes, and the result is played as a jingle after a joke, ad break, or in the beginning if none of the following are present. In terms of punctuation, a full stop or an end of the sentence is signified by an ad break. A colon or a list is signified by making the one saying the previous sentence say the next one as well. Jokes or observations are a vital part of Tmeanaah's grammar. Pop culture reference will signify negation if placed after the verb, and will make the verb imperative if it is placed before it. A response to a pop culture reference will signify a soft imperative if it is before the verb. The fourth wall break is a question marker, and it is placed at the end of the sentence. A pun or an observation, because I'm really bad at puns, is the genitive form of a noun. It replaces the noun completely. The word used for the semantic field in question is translated to Belarusian specifically, and the pun or observation is formed from the first letter of the word. If the genitive is a name or an exclamation, the observation or pun begins as usual, but then ends abruptly as if one forgot what he was gonna say. An unrelated joke placed after the verb signifies passive voice. All of these markers are set not by the person reading the verb, but by the person lower on the order or younger if they are equal. The verb system is probably the most complex in the language. The verbs are signified by an interrogative sentence. The language has 4 tenses: present, past, gnomic, and future. The present tense is the default form and is represented by a yes-no question. Yes-no question with an answer will signify the first person, while an ignored one will signify the second or the third. Similarly, the past tense is a WH question. One with an answer will signify the first person, and an ignored one will signify the rest. The gnomic tense is formed by a rhetorical question. However, here an ignored rhetorical question will signify the first person. A rhetorical question with an answer will signify something close to the English used to construction. The gnomic tense for the second or third person is formed by chaining. All verb tabs can be chained, which is essentially answering a question with another question. A rhetorical question followed by a rhetorical question which is then ignored signifies the second or third persons for the gnomic tense. All of the chains max out at 5 consecutive verbs. A chain will express modality in the present tense. In the past tense, the chain will express direction. Now, this is where the yiik part of the language comes from, because this is essentially the battle system in yiik, which I created completely by accident. To honor that, in polite speech, the next pop culture reference must be about yiik, but in casual speech, this is not needed. However, the chains don't have to be within the same tense, which brings us to this table. More experienced speakers will also make use of the coin mechanic. So for each question in a chain, a coin may be thrown. If it lands on heads, the impact of the question chain is tripled, with the sum going over the limit of 5, and another coin is thrown. A coin that lands on tails will have the chain's impact diminished by 3. Heads or tails is decided by the coin's position in the middle of its arc. If during a yes-no question word question encounter the coin will land on heads, the party asking the question word question may shoot the coin for additional damage, amplified by each suspended coin in the chain. This will also end the chain. In other chains, the effect is amplified with the amount of coins thrown, but it is customary to use each coin separately unless on the field of battle. Auxiliary questions may be used for the meanings alone. For example, all of the prepositions in the language are implied, except for the prepositions of, which is replaced by the genitive form of a noun, and any preposition signifying the direction to the object expressed by a shortened past tense chain. Another very important aspect is the politeness system. The politeness system is represented by a kabbalah. Now, the kabbalah signifies the transition of a soul to a higher plane. However, most speakers of most languages are most likely at the very bottom of the layer. So to simplify it for the common people, the following system is in place. You ascend one sphere if you, for example, rode a bike or met a bush or committed quadruple homicide. You move up 2 spheres if you are a god. You move down 1 sphere if you, for example, have been to the Netherlands, and if you've watched The Sopranos, you go straight to hell. The minimum level is 1 and the maximum is 11. However, if one has more than 7 negative spheres, it will send you to a clip of state, which essentially means you aren't able to talk, but the conversations will still persist as if everything is normal. If both parties are in clippeth, only the lowest one will remain there. If their number of negative spheres is equal, they are both set to the first one. Now, the number of your sphere will matter within the conversation, because it will trigger the sandhi, which is not actually sandhi. The sandhi will affect the vowels within the word. The words used for the semantic field are shifted. If the person is 1 sphere above you, the word is shifted down by 1 in the nearest English dictionary you can find. And this loops from top to bottom. If the person is 2 spheres above, the word is shifted down 1 full letter in the same position, which you must physically count. If the person is 3 or more spheres above you, you are unable to talk to them. If the person is 1 sphere below you, no sandhi will take place, but if one is 2 spheres below you, the word is shifted 45 words down and 1 letter up at the same time, also looping. If 3 or below, it's a one-sided conversation and you may choose any sandhi that you like. In a similar way, the power of the coins will be nullified if the difference of spheres is larger than 2. Furthermore, each sephira has a separate rule sheet. If the speakers are on different spheres, the rules applied are of the one between them rounded up. There are 11 in total from Malkuth to Keter, with rules of varying intensity. So for example, from Malkuth, where no words longer than 2 syllables may be used, and the speech is dumbed down a bit, all the way to Binach, where one party is on ketamine. For the following conversation, both speakers are at the same level of 3. It is also not customary to use coins within translation, so they will also be omitted. Your parents must be horrible people. You say that as if you aren't one. Why did you say this? What if John Lennon was evil and he said, "Don't imagine"? Why did I do that? Why are you siding with me on this one? I'm not siding with you though, I'm asking. Be less contrarian, please, and stop thinking so small. Thickening? What paleolithic culture is that? So the light shines forevermore into your eye. Is everything okay at home? What does an armadillo call a car? They should ban whatever you're on, and any other substances. All the divine waters and hellish sands have driven this place into ruin. And your judgment is surface level again. You always make it seem too giant and never actually dig deeper. You're right. I suppose it takes self-control not to correct me. Your thoughts are enslaved by the rod, unlike mine. Quite an intriguing riddle. What's the point in observing life anymore? Was that the confirmation you needed to realize that? What? What do you mean? Know what you're saying? I'm just saying that time is the greatest proofreader. Perhaps I agree. My own knowledge and experiences have led me to accept a similar idea, though your phrasing was horrendous, as I expected. So am I still lower in your eyes? Sorry, eye. And that's why it is so. While I haven't yet spoken with the higher-ups, that might as well be conclusive. Not as conclusive as wow, that was just like skidding the toilet. Did you know line is a sin and we were slow, by the way? The human experience is truly staggering and complex, yet so many like you dehumanize it, and inspiration paths for me. So what you are is a tree, the tree of our growing, our sane and most corrupt. What even was that? Why am I always like this? This is just like when Peter Griffin said the funny thing. What? What do you mean? Why did you say that? Why not? I'm able to speak as I live. With all this conversation, your speech remains most surreal. truly to mirror the sub-reality takes the conscious mind. And that's it.